friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are going to do an early spring garden tour here at the house because yes, we are officially in springtime now, so I can say, this is spring in North Carolina, a zone 8A. Just going to do a really kind of informal, fun walk through the gardens here at the house. We've done other videos at the nursery, so today we're going to focus here at the house because I think it's fun to see what other people's gardens look like at different times of the year, and to show you a progression of from winter into spring. Then at the end of spring, early summer, we'll do another one to see how everything has just grown, bloomed, and thrived, because as gardeners, we want to have interest year round. And right now, I think you can see the star of the show here in the backyard is most definitely the forsythia. Growing up, I would call these yellow bells. That's what we called them here in the South. But officially, they are forsythias, and this is the show off from Proven Winners. My goodness, y'all, it is living up to its name for sure. I have never seen a forsythia that has as massive flowers as this one does. There's two forsythias kind of within that show off series. Show off is the full size one. It gets nice and big, has that really kind of open, airy habit to it. And then there is Show Off Sugar Baby. Show Off Sugar Baby is going to be the more petite one, nice and much more manageable, because this can be quite the beast, but it still has tons of flowers on it. And what I love about this show off, not only is it, just the massive blooms, but it is literally covered in flowers from the very bottom of the plant all the way up. So you get full coverage of this plant. It also, of course, after it blooms, it will give some nice green leaves. You can see some green already starting to pop up right here. Forsythias bloom on old growth, so if you need to prune it, which I most definitely will prune this one just to shape it up, we do that after it flowers. Depending on where you live, I have found, for me personally, in my garden, because my garden is just such hot sun, that this does great if you can give it a break in the afternoon. It gets full sun, it still gets that 8 hours, but in the late afternoon, the way that the sun sets here, it does get in the shade, probably around like maybe 4-ish, so that's kind of nice. Everything, and I do have another one down further in the flower bed. There was a third one behind the magnolia. I think she actually has perished, but you know what? I'm not really upset about that, because I kind of like having the two here in the garden in this space, because it really kind of anchors it. Everything else is waking up nice and slowly and surely. We've got blueberries here in the bed also. They are doing nice and covered. And then of course the Julia Child rose. This is a standard, and it is just loving life, full of leaves, and we're going to be covered in flowers before we know it. This is one that we rescued from the nursery. My oldest daughter Emily did, so it's called Emily's Rose here affectionately at our house, but you see that it has like a gap here. Hopefully this will fill in. It was the last one and completely neglected, so she kind of rescued that for us. And then the peonies, y'all, we have peonies coming up, so they are sprouting. I have the cages on them more so to keep the dog from stepping on them than really to support the peonies. I haven't found a problem with that, but you can see that she'll kind of tiptoe through the flower bed, and so we want to keep those protected. I'm going to switch over here just for one quick second, because I want to show you we have some peonies on this side, just right across the lawn. Gets hot afternoon sun, and I noticed, look at this, this is the the Ito Julia Rose. Look how big that thing is, right? Really popping up and giving us some good growth on that as well. Of course, we're gonna hit the front here in just a minute, so let me spin back around ever so slightly. Whenever we do videos like this, we always get asked about our grass. We grow fescue grass. Fescue is a cool weather grass, and this is its prime time. That is why we love fescue, is because it stays nice and green all year round. The only time it may look a little rough is in like July or August in the heat of the summer. Now, here we go. I have got a couple, I think 4 total of the Fairy Trail Bride hydrangeas from Proven Winners. These are a cascading hydrangea. And I am just going to be honest with y'all, because that is what I do. I share the messes and the successes, and I keep it real, because if we're going to be struggling in my garden with it, then I know probably somebody else is too. So I want to let you know that you're not alone in this. Fairy Trail Bride has been out for a couple of years, and I have just struggled with it to get it to flower. It is a beautiful plant when it does flower. I have seen it in person, just not in my garden, and it is beautiful and stunning. However, 2 years ago, I think it was the first year we actually had it in here, we had the Arctic blast. Not that it really affected it that much, because of course it was dormant. Last year we had a late freeze. It froze all the flowers and actually killed it completely to the ground. So everything that you see here was new last year. Now I am seeing some promising results for this year, because I got nice green on all the stems. You can see down here in the bottom, there is new growth there. So I am really hopeful that Fairy Trail picks it up this year and does just beautiful. If she doesn't, she might be out of here, because this is prime real estate here in the garden. And if she's not going to perform, then she's either going to get booted or she's going to get moved to an outlying flower bed somewhere else. Amsonia, I love Amsonia. It is a great native perennial that does true blue flowers. You can see it popping up right here. This is Storm Cloud. Storm Cloud gets its name because it has dark stems as it comes out of the ground, and then of course it gets nice and big true blue flowers. Yeah, so here you go. Here's a mess. This is the forsythia that did not make it. So you can see that it rooted on certain areas, but honestly, that's just pathetic. So that's going to be coming out, and that just means that I can plant something else right there. So that's really, really fun. As the garden wakes up, it is fun to see, because sometimes we lose things. The forsythia, some things are doing amazing and they're doing great. So we love those, but you're constantly, as a gardener, evaluating your garden. This is such a fun, this is a Harry Lauder walking stick. Not sure if you're familiar with it. It gets its most interest in the garden this time of year, because you can really see how contorted it is. It just naturally grows this way. This is what it's supposed to look like. And then in the summer, of course, it will pop out with some lovely green leaves. Does those fun little pods right there. It doesn't spread, it doesn't set seed and like send babies out everywhere, but it loves this spot, and it is growing and just doing really, really well here. So I'm very happy and pleased with this Harry Lauder walking stick. But it's just, I mean, how fun is that? And all I do is I give it some plant tone about this time of year and then leave it alone. Now these outside beds, these perimeter beds, are on irrigation. So you'll see some drip irrigation, I'm sure, in here. It is the brown tubing that is in here. I can tell that my ginkgo tree is waking up. It too has some nice little swells where the leaves are going to pop out, so it is doing well. This is the Princeton Century, which is a male ginkgo, so it does not set seeds and it does not stink. It is gorgeous. It is stunning in the fall. It looks like the forsythia. Bright yellow flowers. I loved it so much that this past fall I added one to the signature garden, because you just got to have that great fall interest. All right, coming on over here, we're going to hit this outside bed right quick. You can see that the cherry tree, she has lost all of her blooms and she is now fleshed out in green. That, of course, is the Okami cherry tree that was gorgeous this late winter. Loved it so much, and really fun. Now look, look at these. I haven't seen these. These are the other Ito peonies, and my gosh, they are happy. None of the peonies in the backyard beds have bloomed yet. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of time to get them adjusted to their new home and let them wake up. Patience is key, my friends, when you are gardening. A little update here on the The Elizabeth Rose from David Austin, you saw us replant this. She is shooting out some growth. We're just gonna see how she does, y'all. All is an experiment here for sure. And then we've talked about this before. This is the Drops of Jupiter oregano. So it's an ornamental oregano. Absolutely love this plant because for me in zone 8A, it does stay an evergreen. It is looking really nice right now. Beautiful chartreuse color that will get some nice blue, purpley blue flowers on it. And it's a really nice addition. And then behind these are the Pearl Glam Beauty Berries, which of course are not flushed out yet. What is flushing out are the double play doozy spireas. We have 3 of them here, and then again, they are up there along the patio. So daylilies, of course, are waking up. No signs of life yet from the hibiscus. That is completely to be expected. You're not going to see a lot of signs of life from your perennial hibiscus. Probably, even for me, it's going to be mid to late May because they love it hot. Now, moving our attention back here to the patio. It's a sad time here. It's a sad time here in the backyard because the tulips are done back here. So we absolutely adored and loved every single second of having the smooch blend of tulips from Color Blends. They were amazing. Just so sweet and so fresh. This is the hottest part of the garden, so these tulips were the first ones to bloom on the entire property. So if they're the first to bloom, they're going to be the first to be done. So they are most definitely done. You will see that they have dropped their petals, but what has come in behind them in their succession of blooms is the jonquils, the daffodils. So I planted these 2 years ago, and so we've got a sweet little assortment of white and yellow in here. I have them between these. I have 3 of the Lilac Crush Summerific Hibiscus, but just look how sweet that is. So it's nice to have that succession of blooms from one flowering bulb to the next. I would love to say that it was perfectly planned. However, it was not. I would be lying. I'm not that good to tell you that this was a perfect succession. My 9-bark, oh my goodness, look at that. Happy shrub. It is flushing out with new growth. Very happy. My mama gave me this one a couple of years ago. It has been moved around. It loves its new spot, so we're very happy. Of course, it's called a 9-bark because it has peeling bark, and there's, like, you know, hypothetically 9 layers, different colors within those layers. So there's nothing wrong with it. It is supposed to have that peeling bark on it, and it will just be a great fun interest here for me in the garden. Let's see. Let's move on over. We'll go this way, trying to figure out which direction we want to go. Some of the panicle hydrangeas are starting to bud out a little bit. So we have on these 2 ends, these are the Little Lime Punch, and then in the center is Pufferfish. So Pufferfish has put out more growth before the Little Lime Punches, and that's just simply, y'all, about the different kind of plant, right? Even though they're both hydrangeas, they're both paniculatas, some will flush out earlier than others, and that's just the way it is. My sedums, the perennial sedums, have fun little mounds right here. You can see I have cleaned up 2 of them. I have 3 more to go over there. Somebody was asking me about the Japanese maple. It is doing well. It too, as you can see, is starting to bud out and giving me some beautiful signs of life there, as is my lilac. So this is the Bloomerang Dark Purple. Here in North Carolina, we struggle with lilacs because of our heat and humidity. This one has actually done the best that we have had success with. So we're gonna have lots of beautiful flowers right there. But lilacs are definitely not a plant that you think of really here in the South. They're definitely in the cooler zones. And so when we have folks that move down from the north to the south, they want their lilacs. It's a little struggle, but this one actually is hanging in there quite nicely. The tea olives. Now, tea olives are sweet osmanthus. It's not actually an olive. It doesn't bear fruit, right? And so I had trimmed these back, gosh, couple of weeks ago, and look at the new growth that is already popping out. So this is new growth. This whole shoot right here is new growth. It'll be nice and dark. It kind of has a little bit of a reddish tinge to it. Great evergreen shrub that of course produces little flowers that just smell divine and amazing. We were in these beds just the other week planting and cleaning up, and there is the forest pansy. So a forest pansy is a type of redbud. We got this tree when I was pregnant with Jackson, and that was in the fall. So we've had this tree planted for 14 years. It was a 15-gallon when we purchased it, and yeah, so that's why I get to have a beautiful shade garden here at the house, is because this forest pansy gives me that shade. It is getting ready to absolutely explode in color. Now Jenny's a shorty, so trying to get in here and get close to those flowers for you is kind of hard, because I can only reach up so far. We have, as it has grown, of course, we have limbed it up. So every year rather, probably late spring, I will come in here and just kind of clean up a little bit. And so that way, because what happens is as the limbs come over, they start to droop down too much. So I just go in underneath and clean those up as well. This is the candy tuft. Alexander's great. It's an evergreen candy tuft, and it is loving life so much right now. It is absolutely gorgeous. It has been blooming for maybe a month now, doing really well. And you were with me when we trimmed the Ascot rainbow right here behind it. And you can see how nice and fleshed out it's getting ready to bloom. Just beautiful, beautiful plants. Peonies back there are getting ready to pop up, or are popped up, and everything is just looking great. I've got hostas that are coming in there. The pulmonaria is actually on the downside of blooming. It had a spectacular display of her pink and blue flowers. This is pink and blue, and they start out pink and then they age to a nice blue. The hellebores are kind of on their downside as well, but that's all right because everything else is waking up. Now you might notice, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but I have on here, you might see some little white sprinkles. That is slug and snail bait, because I put the slug and the snail bait down in my shade gardens primarily because of my hostas, right? I don't want my hostas to get eaten by snails and slugs, primarily the slugs. Hey Brenna, come on. I gotta get the dog out. And so because with hostas, once they start eating on them, then you've got holes in it and it's not as pretty. And we have a wedding coming up at the end of May, then we have the signature experience. So I like keeping the garden as neat and trim and healthy as possible. So that slug and snail bait works out great. It is an organic product. It is a bait, so they will come and eat it. It is completely safe to use around in your vegetable gardens. Tons of different people will make it, but you can see those little white pellets. That is what that is around, and I put it around where, you know, where my hostas are and those things that the snails and the slugs may be attracted to. So everybody is doing great here. The generous gardener is flushing out with tons of beautiful foliage, right? Just gorgeous foliage, nice and thick and happy and healthy. I have already applied the first round of rose tone, so the first round of fertilizer has gone on to her, given her lots of beautiful food to eat, so that will give me nice, gorgeous flowers. And then we were just in this flower bed. You were with me, right? When we cleaned it up, we took out the Scentlandia, we put in the azaleas, and look y'all, the azaleas are already starting to bloom. It has not even been a week, and here we are starting to flush out with pretty flowers. That new growth is still continuing to pop out. So clearly they are quite happy in this space, which is very encouraging for this gardener, right? Whenever you transplant, you put in a new plant and then it starts blooming and still continuing to put on new growth, that is always a very good sign. Now we're gonna tiptoe on the back side here. I want to show you the dahlia bed because, right, all about messes and successes here. And I want to give you an update on the dahlias because people have been asking how the dahlias are doing or what do I do with dahlias. Where I am in North Carolina, the Piedmont, so we're about 30, 45 miles west of Charlotte. And we can overwinter our dahlias in the ground. Laura, of course, from Garden Answer, this is all of her fault, because when we went to go visit her 3 years ago, her dahlias were in full bloom, were stunning. I was talking to her about it. She was like, I'm gonna send you a whole bag of my dahlia tubers in the spring, so the next spring, which she did. She sent them later because of course she's colder than I am, so she sent them later. I got them planted later, so the first year was a little bit of a struggle. They didn't bloom until late in the summer. Left them in the ground that winter, and then this past spring was the first spring where they had been in the ground. Oh my gosh, they were gorgeous. So I can just leave mine in the ground. It is a wonderful thing. Now, give you an idea. So I have, if you're new, we have 3 dahlia beds right here, and they have the T-post in here because of course you have to stake up your dahlias. One of you genius folks suggested, because I was talking about how I don't like the T-post and the color of them, and and y'all were like, just get some spray paint and paint them a dark green. So guess what I did yesterday? Yep, I took the Rust-Oleum, it was the dark hunter green, and I spray painted them, and they look great. So they are doing really well. Love that. So whomever that was, thank you so much. Brenna and I were out here yesterday afternoon. We got 1 dahlia bed weeded, and then Mimi is going to come down this afternoon and we are going to weed the other 2, and then I'm going to lay down compost. Dahlias love compost. They do really well, and so we're going to do that because it has just the wear and tear of the season. We have lost, of course, all that top. They also like to be on drip irrigation, so we have that. Just to give you an idea, do you see what this is right there? Yep, my friends, some of the dahlias are already starting to wake up. This is Cafe au lait, so that one is waking up, and then I have some more further on down that are waking up, and so yeah, I absolutely can. Oh, look, here's another one. Now the weeds are of course taking over, but look, that right there, little tiny little sprout. With your dahlias, you cannot use a pre-emergent, because weeding is one of the #1 questions that I'm getting right now from folks. They're like, how do you keep the weeds out of your garden? Well, guess what? We all struggle with weeds. They are there. I don't care where you garden, unless you're in like the Sahara, and maybe even they have weeds. I don't know. But if you're gonna garden, you're gonna have weeds, and it's gonna be a problem. You can spray whatever herbicide you want. You can hand pull. You could use a pre-emergent, which prevents the seeds from germinating. However, you cannot do that with dahlias, because then your dahlias will not come back. So really the only option, in my opinion, here is to hand pull. So we get in there and we pull them by hand, and then put a nice thick layer of compost on them, which prevents the weeds and then makes the plants nice and happy. So that is what we are going to do with that. Couple weeks ago, month or so ago, Mr. Maple came and visited, and he was sweet enough, oh my gosh, y'all was popped out even more. He was sweet enough to bring me a Makawa Japanese maple. Look at that. Can you see that new growth? Oh my goodness, it's so fun. Y'all, is that not gorgeous? So great. Oh, I love it. Okay, so Makawa obviously loves being right here with me. It does great in a container. It is slow growing, but man, look at all that beautiful growth. Oh, that makes me happy. Happy, happy, happy. Oh goodness. Okay, so it is growing and blooming and thriving and doing quite well. Now we're gonna move on up here. Let's do the cottage garden next, before we head up to the cottage garden, which is technically beside the cottage garden. The loropetalums. So the loropetalums are in bloom. Loropetalums are a southern shrub, and y'all, these are massive ones, right? They are, we trimmed them extremely heavy last year. hence why they're kind of gone in like here. But these are also known as Chinese fringe flowers, and as I get closer to the flowers, I think you'll understand why they are called that. They are very dissected, very fringy blooms on them. This is when the time of year that they bloom. They sometimes will have a great season, of course, like most flowering shrubs. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. Predominantly, loropetalums are known for their evergreen, fast-growing structure. I do not know what variety this is. We've had these, gosh, we've been in our house 20 years. I think these were originally at the front of our house. Yes, y'all, these were planted in front of our front porch. Can you imagine? Jerry has literally taken the chainsaw to them, I don't know how many times, and gotten them down to stumps, and they just keep coming back. We finally found the perfect place for them here in front of the green giants, and they're gorgeous. So loropetalums, they will all bloom like this, and they bloom on old growth. So if you want them to flower, don't prune them until after they bloom. So little heads up on that. And yes, the trees behind it, those are green giants. Those are thuja green giants. 3 of them. Love that as well. They hide the nasty looking storage building quite well. Cottage garden, it is also waking up. Daylilies are popping up. I have not done anything to this flower bed, so yes, you will see some weeds in there. Got to give this baby some love. The daylilies, of course, are the main thing right now. We do have like some of the alliums are coming up, and spiderwort is coming up quite nicely. That is Charlotte's Web. So everything's just kind of hanging out here right now. The Princess Anne Rose Standard. This is a David Alston. It is flushed out and gorgeous. Got this last year. This was a new edition. This was my first Rose Standard from David Alston. But yeah, Princess Anne, because my mom's name is Anne, so of course I had to get Princess Anne. Nice, deep, kind of like a raspberry hot pink color to it. Now, the garden boxes here. A couple of y'all, if you've been with us, we've had these boxes for quite a while. They are clearly falling apart and needing to be redone. We are currently working with a company to do kind of a collaboration work together on new deck boxes, or garden boxes rather. So we are anticipating their shipment. It's a new product, so it's getting a little bit delayed being shipped out. But once they get here, I cannot wait to show those boxes to you. Therefore, I am not planting anything in these boxes until I get the new boxes. This is going to be cut flowers, just a flower garden in itself. In all of the boxes, in the center one, we do have some herbs, but by replacing these boxes and completely starting over fresh, then I'll evaluate and see how I do that. But just know, new boxes, fingers crossed, will so soon be on our way to us, and we'll share all of that with you as well. If you remember, almost a year ago, we were contacted by HoseLink, of course, who does the retractable hose reels, and they had started introducing some solar lights, and so they came here and did a photo shoot, and part of that was with the solar lights, and so they gave us the solar lights from that photo shoot. Several of you have asked how much we like them. Love them, y'all. I literally have done nothing to them all in a year. They stayed out all winter long and have done great. These are the path lights, and at night when you walk past them, they will get brighter for about 20 seconds and then they dim. So that's been, really love them. And the globes right here, they too have done great. I just can't say enough about them. The urns here with the violas and then some of the Miss Confection blend of tulips have done quite nicely. There are 4 of them here. I shared with you though that this container, for whatever reason, decided to be the problem child, and when the tulips were coming up, they lifted the entire mound just lifted it up. So there was this big gaping hole right here. I have no idea why this particular one decided to do it. All of the other 3 were quite nicely well behaved and did not misbehave whatsoever and stayed nice and in their place and did great. So there's always that one child, right? Typically it is the baby, and I can say that because I am the baby of the family, and if there's a problem, it's probably coming from Jenny. But anyway, so up here on Hydrangea Hill, this desperately, y'all, oh my word. We'll talk about messes and successes because, you know, that's what we're about here. This is both a mess and a success all in one. Success because everybody's growing and coming back and being very happy, and it's all going well, right? It is a mess because it looks awful. It desperately needs to be weeded, it needs to be composted, and it needs to be mulched. The weeding happened last year, some compost, but no mulch. So we have not put mulch on this bed in 2 or 3 years, and you can definitely see that because of all of that red soil that is exposed. The weeds are just loving life right now. So this is just an absolute mess, and I see it all the time. It's driving me crazy. In fact, Jerry and I yesterday were coming up with a mulch plan, and this is definitely at the top of the list. It is very steep right here. This slope is very steep. So we're gonna put down our traditional our traditional mulch, so because the compost, when it really rains, could wash. So this will get a nice thick layer. We're gonna clean all this up. We're gonna go all the way down. Of course, there's another flower bed down here at the end. So all of this is gonna get taken care of. I know it's a mess, trust me. I know it, y'all. There's only so many hours in a day, and there's so many projects to be done. You do what you can when you can. Roses of Sharon. This is the Parpaloo Pink. It is popping out with all the new growth and doing quite nicely. My daffodils are done. This was, of course, the the daffodils from Color Blends, and oh, yeah. It was such a gorgeous sight, and now they're done. That makes me sad, but that's all right because I know next year they'll come back and be just as beautiful as ever. Now here at the chicken coop, you can see the girls. They are quite happy. They are doing very nice. This is another pufferfish, so you can see where this pufferfish is also coming. No, this is not pufferfish. Sorry. These two on each side are pufferfish. This is the new Pinky Winky Prime. So Pinky Winky Prime is also flushing out in growth. So that is great. Everybody else is just kind of hanging out here, but look, let me show you, y'all. So this is quince. I have 3 of them, a 1, 2, and then a third one down there. This is the double take eternal white. I think it was a rabbit. So a rabbit, end of last summer, pruned these for me, which I was not really happy about because it only makes sense that it was a rabbit. Nothing else got touched in the garden, and I don't know if you can see, like right here on the end, I mean, it just took it off. I will protect these babies because look at these blooms. Y'all, quince, dear heavens. So this is new on the market, the Double Take Eternal White. Gorgeous, absolutely stunning. These are wider than they are tall. That's why I kind of had them here in the front. So big hopes for these next year, absolutely for sure. This is the one that didn't get quite as eaten, and it is not flushed out, but it does have lots of buds on it. So somehow I will find a way to protect these so that they don't get munched on this summer. Now, we've been planting a lot within the last year. This entire bed, this whole area is brand new. We got the chicken coop finished, built in June, started planting here in mid to late June, and kind of worked on through. We still got tons of stuff to do. I forgot that we put a cherry tree up here, and so I was at the kitchen sink yesterday, and I looked up and I saw some flowers, and I was like, what is blooming up there? And then I was like, oh yeah, duh, Jenny, you put a cherry tree up here. So it is starting to put out some flowers. It is not gonna, well, it may be. It's hard to tell, y'all. But this is a Yoshino. I was gonna say it's not gonna be full of flowers, but it does have quite a bit of buds on it. So the Yoshino is a beautiful, almost like a pure white, has a little bit of pink in there. But yeah, so fun surprise for Jenny, because I forgot. I forgot that we put a cherry tree up here, and then I was like, oh Oh yeah, that's what that was, because when we planted it, of course, it was summertime and it just had leaves on it. So that was a very lovely surprise for sure. Everything back here is doing quite nicely. Where Brenna is walking through the flower bed is, yeah, just nice. And then you will see that we have quite a stash of plants over here that desperately, not desperately, but it's time. They need to go in the ground. So later on this week, we're going to have a hosta extravaganza where I'm going to be putting all of these hostas in the ground. I adore hostas and shade gardens, and I have very few shady areas here at the house just because we built our house in the middle of a field. My daddy used to be a farmer, and so this was a field. Somebody had asked one time, I was like, why do you have so many trees on the outside but not close to your house? Because we built in the middle of a field. And so to have these shade areas is really fun, and when I have an opportunity to put down hostas, I am going to go for it. So I think every single one of these is a different hosta. Lots of fun, and they will all go here within the woodland garden, kind of where Brenna is. The woodland garden is waking up. It is so exciting to see. Everything that we planted in here a couple weeks ago is doing quite nicely. Look at this tough stuff hydrangea here in the Spanish urn. Look at all of these leaves, y'all. Hopefully this is the year that I get flowers on my tough stuff. It was originally way down there by the creek. Did not get consistent water. It was really neglected. It's a miracle it's still alive. So she is budded out, like leafed out, and doing great. The rhododendrons here are quite nicely. Yeah, I mean, everything where we are in here is doing nice. It is not on irrigation. We've had, of course, consistent rain, so that has been quite helpful. And then I've only had to supplement water, I think, once on the Lenten roses because they were drying out. This is the pot that I planted last summer, and it has the aquapot insert in it. It stayed out all winter long, seemingly has done great. My container did not crack, it shouldn't. The plants, as you can see, are very happy. I have the hosta that is coming back. Of course, my euchra is an evergreen here. And then my Japanese fern is coming back. And then back there in the back, you can see the fronds coming up from the autumn fern. I mean, so far I've been quite impressed with the insert. The plants seem very happy, so I am very happy. Again, hydrangeas up here are flushing out. This is the this is another tough stuff right here. We have got the ruby slippers. Oak leaf hydrangea is completely flushing out. Just everything in here is doing well. Now this year I have told you that I'm gonna have to be kind of vigilant about this flower bed because this is a brand new area to be planted, and there are all sorts of vines, weeds, natural things that are coming up in here that I will have to watch to make sure that it doesn't overtake any of my plants, and just to eliminate them, right? Because I don't want honeysuckle growing in here. I don't need grapevine. I don't need those kinds of plants in here. Look at the Invincible Sublime. So much beautiful leaves on them, so well. And then this was the Tough Stuff Top Fun here as well. Nice new growth all over it. Really excited about this whole area. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna head on down here to the flower bed. This is my other shade little bed. This flower bed gets lots of beautiful morning sun, and then it is in the shade in the afternoon because of the house. The house gives it the shade, and there are so many perennials in here popping up awake. Definitely seems like spring has come early this year as far as the temperatures in the garden. They are all waking up quite nicely. You'll notice again the little white pellets. That's because of the slugs and the snails. Because of my hostas are already showing some new growth and like true leaves, I want to make sure that they do not get taken out or wholly because of the slugs. And so that's why the white is down. You reapply this after a rain because when it rains, they'll kind of like swell up and get puffy, and then you just reapply them. Now, once all of my perennials flush out, you're not going to see any ground whatsoever right here. It is going to be completely covered with plants. So right now I know it looks a little weird with the white. I don't care. I'm thinking long term. I am thinking the overall health and the appearance of my hostas, not necessarily what it looks like right now. The trilliums are coming up. My mama, Mimi, as we all know and love her, planted me some trilliums a year, 2 years ago. And look at those. Are they not just happy and sweet? Love them. I do not know exactly what variety these are, but they are great. My bleeding heart back here, this is just the good old-fashioned bleeding heart, is doing quite nicely. Of course, bleeding hearts love this cool weather. It will continue to grow. Once it really reaches maturity, it will be it'll kiss the kind of the bottom of the window hay rack right there, the window box, and just continues to put out those beautiful, sweet, sweet flowers on it. And then zebra. This is the zebra Macrophylla hydrangea. It's called zebra because the new stalks will be near black, and then it does pure white flowers that are color specific. So that is doing quite nicely. And if we have a hard freeze, I will make sure to cover that because I want to have flowers on that as well. Yes, there is a heaven sent hanging out in a container right here. It needs to be planted. It's actually in a pot, in a nursery pot, but because it's so big, I left it in this tub so I can keep water on it. But is that not gorgeous? I just have to figure out exactly where I want to put it. Hostas, like I said, are coming up. Ferns are popping up. We have got a fern here that you can see those little fronds are doing quite nicely. And then this is the pink Chablis Lamian, which we sell as an annual, but it will actually be a perennial for us. It is, of course, beautiful, variegated silver and green foliage. And it's called pink Chablis because it does those beautiful pink flowers. So I use that as a ground cover here. There is a fern that's popping up, and then the white by the gate is pretty much done blooming. I don't think we're gonna get any more blooms off of her this year. So I will just continue to feed her and encourage that beautiful new growth on my white by the gate. And then look down here. Look at the Solomon seal. They too are popping up and just gonna be glorious right here. I love Solomon seal. It has spread all throughout here. Last year I cleaned it up back from here. And then of course we have a beautiful little patch right here. This is White Wedding from Southern Living. It too is a beautiful panicle hydrangea and loving life and doing quite nicely. These are some shroomies. The J.J. Potter Company sent me a sample of these guys. Maybe that we would carry them both online and at the garden center. And I just think they're so stinking cute. If you're interested, would y'all be interested in us carrying these? These are so sweet. So it's all one piece. They're made here in America. Family company, 2 brothers started it in, I think it was high school or college. And so lots of different colors, so stinking cute. So if you're interested in that, just let me know and we will look at offering those for folks. Now, what we're gonna do is let's head over really quickly. We're going to walk with purpose and we're going to go to the berm because the tulips over there, this is the Super Collider blend, is basically in full bloom. I'm going to show you those because part of the bed is still doing great. The other part is starting to be done just because of how the sun hit as we go by. Miss Confection planted these right there on the corner. They are on their way out, as are the rest of my daffodils right there. So kind of give you an idea, but if you can see way down there, maybe we'll hit those too. Those have just started. The privacy berm, of course, here on the house side, this is for the pleasure of our family only. So when you come to the nursery, we would love for you to visit the other side, the nursery side of the berm, but ask that you do not come across on this side, just as a respectful for our family and some privacy. But this Super Collider blend has done really well. Next year, I want to do something different. I think it'll make a greater impact from a distance because, of course, if you're looking, so we're standing here, right here at the flower bed, and then when you turn, there is the house. So it's a good bit of a distance away. And while you're up close to these tulips, they're stunning and they're fun and I love them. They're very sweet, but I think next year it will definitely make a bigger impact if, even let's say I did the exact same tulips, but I bought them individually and I did them in, say, like with the purple, the yellow, and the red. I did big patches of, say, like the red, and I would put like 15 bulbs in a, in a group together, and then I would put 15 of the yellow, 15 of the purple. It would just make a bigger impact from a distance. As you can see, when they're mixed in together like this, you definitely see the yellow and the red, but you don't really see the purple. It's just kind of it's just weird. It doesn't stand out as much, and I really want to be able to see it from a big distance. So that's a difference that a change that I would make next year. But they are doing quite nicely. These are the Yoshinos as well on this side of the berm, and they are getting ready to flush out with some great flowers as well. This week, I'm going to go ahead and prune my butterfly bushes. I will take you along for the ride and show you exactly how to prune butterfly bushes because people are asking. So we'll do that. This is the Grand Cascade pink too, and so we'll do that. Look at the clematis. So we've got 3 clematis right here. This is the Hudson River. They are coming along quite nicely. As you can see, I have not weeded this side of the berm, so I need to do that. I have done the other side, haven't done this side. As a gardener, we're taught patience, right? The Lord teaches us patience through gardening, and you just have to persevere and hang in there. Last fall, it got really dry here. It was extremely dry. And these are popcorn viburnum that they have beautiful fall color on them, but because it got so dry and it was still hot, our falls are historically warm here, it looked like they were dying. I mean, they were just starting to shrivel up. They didn't really have as gorgeous fall foliage as they could have, and they just were looking extremely rough. I knew they were okay, would be okay long term, at least I told myself they would, because these were already really well established. This is year 4 or 5 for them being in the ground. If it had been a first year plant, I absolutely would have been down here watering them multiple times a week. But because I know that their root system is really well laid out, then I felt okay. Now, this is the first time that I have seen them up close, and y'all, I'm excited. It should be a beautiful spring because if you can see all of this right here, these are flower buds. Look at this. This plant and the other 2 are absolutely covered in flower buds. The first year, the first year or 2, I got no flowers off of these plants. And I was talking to a customer, they're like, just be patient, they'll come, they'll come. Last year we had a good number. I did not have anywhere like I have right now. So as long as the weather is nice to me, we should have absolutely stunning, gorgeous flowers on these 3 shrubs. I just leave them alone. I mean, they are already at least 6 feet, 6.5 feet tall, probably 4 feet wide, and that's the idea, is that they form this beautiful kind of hedge right there with flowers in the spring, beautiful nice green foliage in the summer, and then red foliage in the fall. And I do come back through in the summer, and there is irrigation right here that we go ahead and have annuals right there. The daffodils that I was showing you, they are coming up quite nicely. These were a later bloomer, and oh, I do adore them. I love me some daffodils. Mimi's coming down, so my little alarm's going off. But yes, so they are just gorgeous and doing quite nicely. If you are in your garden, right, and you're looking this time of year, what is your spring interest? If you want to make some changes, go ahead and plan on that. If you want to do some more like spring flowering bulbs, you're getting close to being to the time that you can order them. I know I get a lot of mine from Color Blends. Their website is currently closed. I think it opens at the end of this month, sometime in April, where you can go ahead and place your order. They'll send it to you in the fall and have fun with that. cherry trees. If you don't have any and you want one, go visit your local garden center and grab one up. Lots of different options for you out there. Really, really fun. It's just a great time to be a gardener for sure. It can be challenging because you never know what the weather is going to do, but it's never dull when you're a gardener for sure. All right, my friends, we will do a whole nother garden tour here at, like I said, at the end of spring, beginning of summer, just see how everything has grown, bloomed, and thrived. As always, we so appreciate you. Thank you for gardening with Creekside. Y'all have an amazing day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.